Henry George was born in Philadelphia on September 2, 1839, the second of 10 children of Richard S. H. George and Catherine Pratt George. His father, a devout Episcopalian, published religious texts and sent George to the Episcopal Academy in Philadelphia. Resisting his religious upbringing, he left school at the age of 14 and in 1855 set sail for Australia and India as a cabin boy aboard the massive sea vessel, the Hindu. George eventually ended up in San Francisco, where he worked as a typesetter. In 1861, he married Annie Corsina Fox, dressed in a borrowed suit. In the mid-1860s, George went to work as a printer for the San Francisco Times, where he began to submit articles and editorials. In 1868, the Overland Monthly published one of his essays, What the Railroad Will Bring Us, which remained required reading in California schools for decades. In the article, he argued that the boom in railroad construction and the completion of the first transcontinental railroad would only benefit the lucky few who owned land and capital near railroad lines, while the rest of the population struggled to eke out a living competing for low-wage jobs. In 1867, he became the managing editor of the paper. In 1870, while riding his horse in the Oakland foothills which overlook San Francisco Bay, Henry George experienced a revelation. I asked a passing teamster, for want of something better to say, what land was worth there. I don't know exactly, but there is a man over there who will sell some land for $1,000 an acre. Like a flash, it came over me that there was the reason of advancing poverty with advancing wealth. With the growth of population, land grows in value, and the men who work it must pay more for the privilege. These observations supplied the theme and title for his 1879 book, Progress and Poverty, which was a great success, selling over 3 million copies. In it, George proposed a simple solution to inequality and industrial depression: one tax on the market price of land that would replace all federal, state, and local taxes. His proposal became known as the single tax. In 1880, now a popular writer and speaker, George moved to New York City. In 1886, he campaigned for mayor as the candidate of the United Labor Party. He came in second, more than the Republican candidate, Theodore Roosevelt. The election was won by Tammany Hall candidate Abram Stevens Hewitt, by what many of George's supporters believed was fraud. Henry George died in 1897 after a series of strokes. More than 100,000 people attended his funeral, the city's largest since the death of Abraham Lincoln. The birthplace of Henry George in Philadelphia has been restored and is now open to the public. There are dozens of family photographs, correspondence, political cartoons, and memorabilia, both of George and the single tax movement. Additionally, the birthplace houses over 10,000 primary source documents, all of which provide a fascinating glimpse into his life and philosophy.